Oil prices are at $50 a barrel. We haven't been at $50 oil since January 2019 for WTI crude. Brent crude, $54 a barrel. I want to talk about oil prices. I want to talk about OPEC and Saudi Arabia. What they did something that surprised everybody in the oil and gas industry. And I want to talk about what big oil is up to. Oil rig count right now is at 351, and that's an increase of 3 rigs, and frac spread is 133, and we've lost 3 for the frac spread. OPEC Plus meeting ends with major surprise cut from Saudi Arabia. Saudi Arabia's late announcement after the meeting sent oil prices soaring that Saudi Arabia would voluntarily cut an additional 1 million barrels per day in February and March above its current quota, all while OPEC's allies get to ramp up production. Now, this shocked a lot of people for multiple reasons. Number one, if you remember back in March of 2019 or 2020, the Saudi Arabia versus Russia oil price war sent oil prices plummeting due to them flooding the markets with oil. They had these OPEC plus meetings, Russian pride versus Saudi Arabia, and they didn't come to an agreement, and they decided, you know what, forget you, I'm going to flood the market with oil. And Russia said, fine, I'm going to do the same thing. And so that's what caused oil prices to drop to rock bottom. Now Saudi Arabia did the opposite. Now they are curbing production by a million barrels a day, allowing Russia to increase their output. That doesn't make any sense to the oil and gas industry at all, and that's why everybody is shocked as to the announcement, okay? But what I've been saying all along, look, Saudi Arabia is not interested in destroying their economy. Their economy comes first. Look, this is egg on their face. But at the end of the day, Saudi Arabia is watching oil, and they know what it takes to keep oil prices at a level, to keep shale in the red, and to keep their bank accounts with enough finances to balance the checkbooks. Now, here's the deal. Regardless of what you read in the news, you only hear what they want you to know. Saudi Arabia and Russia has meetings that we don't know about, that Americans have no idea that they're having. There's meetings in the Middle East with Iran, Iraq, Venezuela, different countries, Russia, Putin, Saudi Arabia, the Crown Prince. There are meetings happening behind closed doors. Hey, if you scratch my back, I'll scratch yours. But listen, Russia has the biggest bargaining chip, and it's nuclear power. Why is he helping Assad? Why is he helping Venezuela and Iran skirt U.S. sanctions? They've used their military power to manipulate and control what's happening in the Middle East. Russia is the kingpin out in the Middle East. We are on the road for a war, okay? And there's more to be said about that, but let's move on, okay? Crude oil prices rose further today after the Energy Information Administration reported a crude oil inventory draw of 8 million barrels for the last week of 2020, despite hefty builds in fuel inventory. So that's great news for the oil and gas. If they're drawing oil from inventories, especially at 8 million barrels for the last week, that says to me oil markets are tightening extremely. We've got shale on the ropes. Well, when I say we, I'm talking about the Middle East. I'm talking about Saudi Arabia has the shale industry on the ropes because they've been keeping oil prices at a level to keep shale in the red. I saw this coming a long time ago. I said, hey, shale is going to fall, okay? Shale oil and gas is too expensive. I mean, you can't spend that kind of money to develop oil and not fall apart eventually. Now, I find this laughable. Big oil's renewables push will come at a cost. Big oil getting involved in green technology is like a cigarette company getting involved in making baby bottles. It doesn't sit right with me, and I don't think investors are going to fall for it, okay? And what's interesting is the reason why big oil is going after green tech is because they're not getting any money. Okay, see, the Gen Xers And the millennials are the ones that are freely investing, okay? And so they're investing in green. They're anti-oil. Most of the younger generation is pro-green and anti-oil. Why? Because they don't understand oil. They weren't around during the revolution. They weren't around when your dad or when you were on the farm and you didn't have a tractor, okay? They weren't around during that time, okay? And so they don't know what oil did for this world. And so they've been brainwashed to believe that oil and gas is evil, global warming, and all of these things. So they believe it. And so what are they doing? They're investing in green. Now, the older generation, they don't know what to believe. Is Biden correct? Is Trump correct? Should I listen to science? Should I listen to CNN, Fox? So what is the older generation? The guys that would normally invest in oil and gas, they're sitting on their hands. And on top of that, all the banks stop investing in shale, the oil and gas industry. Why? Because they've lost trillions of dollars. They're not making any money in shale oil and gas because it's too expensive. So it's opened up an incredible opportunity for guys like me, lease acquisitions and what have you, to get involved in conventional oil. Conventional oil is very profitable at these current prices. Anyways, let's talk about that stuff later. So the renewables pivot of big oil has been held by many and criticized by many. Well, you're being criticized because you're an oil and gas industry going into green. That doesn't make any sense to anybody. Who are you fooling? The latter of those who remember previous attempts, at least stated attempts by oil and gas supermajors to shift to cleaner energy. Yet now things are different from previous attempts to go green. The pressure from governments, okay, and investors is much stronger as ESG investing turns into a steady trend in environmental activism. Environmental activism meaning a bunch of 20-year-old college students out there with signs reaches new levels of influence over all the industries. So what are the challenges? First, big oil has a talent shortage problem. I wonder why. Problem is not new or unfamiliar, but it is potentially serious, according to Vic, Chief Executive Control Room Operations. On the one hand, the industry has an aging workforce that does not want to change. This workforce remembers how their business were impacted by the last green initiatives and have reservations on taking those risks again. On the other hand, it is getting increasingly difficult for oil and gas companies to find new talent, not least because of the negative image of oil and gas among younger generations. You could thank the left for this. The negative image of oil and gas among younger generations, they are permanently scarred by the lies from the left. I mean, this campaign for Biden, they spent billions and billions of dollars brainwashing people about lying to the world about oil and gas, and they won. They won. The older generation is sitting on their hands, not investing oil. The banks are not investing in oil, but that's nobody's fault. That's Shell's fault for being a big Ponzi scheme. And then you've got in oil, there's shale and there's oil and gas. Shale is not the oil and gas industry. Okay, that's what's causing negative sentiment for a lot of people. And then of course the people that follow Biden that believe this global warming crap. But bottom line, people are sitting on their hands right now. And then the Gen Xers, the ones that are investing, they're investing in green. They invest in what they believe in. They don't believe an oil and gas company is going green. Nobody believes in that. And look, they're done. Shell is on the ropes, guys. Now, I found this very interesting. I try to stay out of politics as much as I can because it's just too much information. And I'm tired of being brainwashed by that stuff, okay? But this was interesting. Mike Pence didn't have the courage to do what he should have done to protect our country and our Constitution, giving states a chance to certify a corrected set of facts, not the fraudulent or inaccurate ones with which they were asked to previously certify. So this whole election drama continues. And I'm honestly, I'm tired of it, okay? I'm not anti-Trump. Do I believe a lot of things he's saying? Yes, I do. But this is what I found very interesting. Watch when I like it. Twitter is not allowing me to like a post from the President of the United States. Why can't you like this? We try to prevent tweet like this, otherwise break the Twitter rules from reaching more people. So we have disabled most of the ways to engage with it. If you want to talk about it, you can still read. This is total BS. I was shocked that they told me that I can't like a post from my president. Unbelievable. But listen, Twitter, Google, YouTube, Instagram, Facebook, everything we see is controlled by these guys, by Google. Every news article, every video, every tweet, everything that you will ever see on the internet is controlled by these guys. The same guys that don't allow Donald Trump the freedom of speech, or my freedom of speech to like something, is the same guys that are anti-oil. They're driving the narrative for Biden. They're driving the narrative for green technology. Look, this is going to blow up in all of their faces. Energy prices are going to skyrocket, and I'm going to be laughing all the way to the bank. South Korean oil tanker was boarded by armed Iranian Revolutionary Guard forces. Armed Iranian Revolutionary Guard troops stormed a South Korean tanker and forced it to change course and travel to Iran. The vessel owner said Tuesday that the latest maritime seizure by Tehran amid heightened tensions with the West over its nuclear program. The description of Monday's military raid on the is at odds with Iranian explanations that authorities stopped the vessel for polluting the waters of the Persian Gulf and the Strait of Hormuz. Instead, it appears that Tehran has seeking to increase its leverage over Seoul ahead of negotiation over billions of dollars in Iranian assets from South Korean banks amid a U.S. pressure campaign targeting Iran. So listen, guys, yes, there's a lot of reasoning behind this, but the biggest thing is the more pressure, the more increased tensions in the Strait of Hormuz. I mean, the Strait of Hormuz, over 30% of the world's oil supply flows through there. The more tensions in the Strait of Hormuz, it will derail people from exporting. And the lower people export oil, the tighter oil becomes, thus increasing oil prices. Look, this is all a big game. Russia's pulling the strings here. Saudi Arabia is involved. Iran's involved. All of these guys are working together to take out shale and to keep oil prices high. Okay, they are egging America on for a war. Russia wants it. Everybody wants it to increase oil prices. And so now South Korea is in retaliation to this. South Korea sends military forces to the Strait of Hormuz after tank seizure. Okay. So South Korea is sending in military forces out there. I mean, it's getting crazy out there. Venezuela's 2020 oil exports plunged to the lowest level in 77 years. Look, I wonder why. Venezuela is being crushed by sanctions. Okay. And we could do this because we have the ability to do this because we have central banking system in every country except for North Korea and Cuba. Okay. And so we could sanction these guys. We could cut them off from money because most oil is being purchased in U.S. currency. Okay. That's why they call it the petrodollar. Okay. And so we have the power to sanction Venezuela, and we're crushing the country with these sanctions. If they can't sell oil, it destroys their economy. This is why Russia, Saudi Arabia are working so hard to increase oil prices. But Russia's helping Venezuela skirt these sanctions, and they're doing the same thing for Iran. And so Russia's scratching all their backs, but they will have to repay the favor. And I wouldn't be surprised if Saudi Arabia is repaying the favor of things that Russia has done for them by curbing production and allowing Russia to increase output. All right, guys, there's more news to come. If you like this channel, please subscribe. If you're interested in the oil and gas industry at all, please subscribe to this channel. And in my description below, if you want to talk oil investments, feel free to give me a call. I would love to chat with you. Look in my description below to find more information, and we'll talk soon. Thanks.